Jesus understands. For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Hebrews 4:15. I was in all points tempted and tested, just as you are. When I walked the earth, people had to endure a lot more than you do today. There were no aspirins and painkillers. There were no antibiotics or sunscreen lotions. There were no heaters when it was cold at night. There were no refrigerators to keep food from spoiling. There was no purified water or many other conveniences. There were no antiseptics or running water. Everything took much longer. We lived as the poor do in many countries around the world today, surviving the heat in the summer and the cold in the winter the best we could with what we had available to us. As I traveled to spread my Father's message, the accommodations were often very simple or even non-existent. My disciples and I often camped in fields or slept in simple huts and barns. It was said that the foxes had their holes and the birds of the air their nests, but the Son of Man had nowhere to lay his head. I was very grateful for my cloak, which I wrapped around myself to stay warm. I understand what it's like to be sick, the hardships and the suffering. I empathize with you and care about your pain and suffering. Having suffered on the cross, I understand what it's like to endure physical affliction. In some of the last words I spoke to my disciples, I asked them to remember me through the communion ceremony, with the wine representing my blood and the bread representing my body that was broken for you. Whenever you're sick, come to me and know that I will always understand. Trust in me for healing and ask me to work through this time of affliction to produce an eternal weight of glory in your life. You can also use this time to pray for others, for their physical and spiritual healing, so that they can come to know me and know that I love and care for them. I'm concerned about your family, friends, and loved ones, and I want to be their Savior. I understand their suffering, pain, and sicknesses. I went through the same things, and I want to bring them eternal healing and hope. Come unto me, all who are weary and afflicted, and carrying heavy burdens. Take my yoke upon you, and you will find lasting rest for your soul.
You've been listening to an audio production by The Family International. Visit us at www.thefamily.org.
For we do not have a high priest who cannot sympathize with our weaknesses, but was in all points tempted as we are, yet without sin. Hebrews 4 verse 15, New King James Version. And Jesus said to him, Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. Matthew 8 verse 20, English Standard Version. And he took bread, gave thanks, and broke it, and gave it to them, saying, This is my body which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me. Likewise he also took the cup after supper, saying, This cup is a new covenant in my blood, which is shed for you. Luke 22 verses 19 and 20, New King James Version.